Hola YouTube, aquí Darkus Alpha Fanfics, aquí tenéis el primer capítulo de uno de los fics que os prometí en la última publicación. Este es el fic Marvel My Diarian Shop, este es el primer capítulo. Recordad que este video será en inglés. Si os gusta os daré más capítulos, si no esto será un one shot. Espero que os guste, dadle un like, comentarios y más. Disfrutad.
1. Being reborn in another world is something that a lot of people in secret want. The problem is the world where you were sent to. In my case, I end up one of the most fuck-up multiverses in existence, the Marvel multiverse, where they are hundreds of dimensional entities and only only the one above all knows what. And me? What is my new position after been sent to one multiverse where there is even a fucking time police in the TVA, the ancient one and dozens of gods and more? A store owner. A fucking store owner of a shop that sells anything Yu-Gi-Oh, dual monster related. Let me explain from the beginning. The moment I woke up I already knew that something was wrong. Nothing in this room is the least bit like mine. I quickly stand up and get on guard, but I quickly notice that my body is different. I'm thinner and have slightly noticeable muscles. That was already a red flag since I wasn't in my body. Okay, this is weird, really weird. Where the hell am I? I search a bit and find a bathroom. Looking in the mirror, my face has obvious differences. It's as if someone had polished the details of my face, but something I couldn't notice because I was in complete shock. What the? And for some reason, all my hysteria and desire to scream disappeared, and a fucking blue screen appeared in front of me. Hello host, welcome to the dual/card shop system. Your lack of negative emotions is because they're unnecessary, and until the main functions of the system are finished, there will be a passive ability of mental calm, or gamer mind following the host's memories. Okay, Gabriel, you have a system and it's blocking your negative feelings from your mind. Fucking unbelievable. Okay, let's recap. I stopped because I couldn't remember what I was doing. I tried to concentrate but I couldn't remember anything from before coming here, just my name and a shitload of information about Yu-Gi-Oh that I knew in Marvel. On top of that I remember multiple videos about the other series and other Marvel stuff, not just the main movies. What the fuck? To test a new method and protect the host's psychology, the host's memory was erased except for important details and information that would be necessary for the new world where the host is sent. I want to scream and swear, but the fucking gamer mind block prevents me from doing so, because I can only think logically now that this is turned up to the maximum. And before I can even think about anything, the system decides to move on. This system has a dual effect. Its primary function is to allow the host to create a special card shop in their new world, details of which will be explained later. The second function is the journal system, where the host must maintain a journal daily and receive a monthly reward. What the fuck? Wait, what? I read the message multiple times. A system with two functions? This is the first time I've seen this, I think. This thing about not remembering a single thing about my life is extremely messed up and creepy, and since I have gamer's mind activated right now, I can't even be hysterical about the situation. Okay, system, give me everything. Of course, host, first you need to set up the game for the store Yu-Gi-Oh. It was obvious, that's my favorite card game. I've tried the other two of the big three and several more, but I always prefer Yu-Gi-Oh over the others. Understood. Thanks to your selection, you will be granted the ability to sell game-related products, especially cards. In addition, mystical elements from the world of Yu-Gi-Oh will be added to the world you are in. Wait, wah! In addition to being allowed to partially modify products, you can place orders for the store, in addition to what has already been granted. Okay. I rub my face to wake up, since apparently this is going to be a lot. Okay, I understand. Perfect host, you have received. For cases of The Legend of the Blue Eyes White Dragon. For cases of Metal Raider. For cases of Spell Ruler, Yu-Gi-Oh! Posters, Yu-Gi-Oh! Figures, Yu-Gi-Oh! Plush toys, journal, 12 dueling tables. As the notifications came out, things started appearing. I noticed this is a two-story building, with the top floor being my home and the bottom floor being the store itself. I don't even know where I am, but since the few signs I see outside are in English, I can assume it's America or England. Looking at the things I've been given, I can find a tablet and with it, I can look at the cards and the booster packs, and I see rarities that don't sound familiar. Full art gem. System, anything to say? Yes, host, there are rarities other than the known ones in various arts, giving much more variety to the game. Anything else? Something that makes them special? Don't hide anything from me. Various improvements have been made to these cards, including the material they're made from. They are crafted from synthesized ether, enabling them to absorb all types of energies from Ona, Mana, Chakra, Ryatsu, Haki, and more. That allowed them a certain indestructibility. That's good, at least no one could complain about the quality. These cards have special effects that can be applied in real life. Spell and trap cards can be used for various situations, and monsters can be summoned as long as the conditions are met. Excuse me. You have also been given a table that allows you to modify the card lists of the packs in case you want to put other cards, but if the power level is too high the changes will not be allowed. Hey, don't ignore my question. Starting tomorrow, you can start writing in your diary daily to win prizes. You'll also receive rewards for expanding/improving your business. Don't ignore me. Good luck, host. You'll also receive some protection from the system. Goodbye, motherfucker. I sighed, knowing that apparently the system won't pay any attention to me, so I'll just focus on doing whatever I have to do in the store. Seeing that it's very late at most, I look at the door below, where there's a sign that, even if you see it upside down, the advantage of a glass door is that it can still be read if the light from the lamps hits it right. Opening November 1st, 2007. 2007. Am I in the past? Okay, that's weird, but manageable. Let's see. My memories only have everything about Yu-Gi-Oh!, my name, the year in my previous life, which is 2025, and for some reason I also remember Marvel stuff, even the ones I saw in random videos I stumbled across while watching funny Iron Man scenes. I hope it's just a coincidence, because if it's true that I'm part of Marvel, I don't know whether to be ecstatic to meet my heroes or alarmed by the absurd amount of shit I might get into. Anyway, looking at the tablet I can see that tomorrow is the date the poster said, so, back to work. Posters, life-size cardboard images of some of the characters in DM, and, oh my goodness, Yuji is really short, while Pegasus, Joey and Kaiba are taller than me. I'm 1.76 meters tall and I'm still shorter than Joey. I'm 24 and I'm shorter than a teenager, good to know. Apparently there were also plus highs of some monsters, and I'm sorry, but the rules didn't say anything about keeping things for myself, so this Koroba plush is mine, thank you very much. I also took advantage and grabbed 3 cases, 1 from each pack. First, I'd have to make sure all the regular monsters that were permanently in the OCG were also included in the packs, for more variety and collectability. Then I'd continue with the decoration. Unfortunately, I also had to spend almost an entire hour reading the manuals for the holographic tables. If the manual is right, they'll be like the ones in the manga, but they don't take up as much space. Looking at my watch, I can see there are about 3 hours left until 7 AM. Being slightly tired, I check to see if there's anything interesting in the kitchen and, yes, coffee. At least I'll be able to stay wide awake in case I get tired. And as for food, there's plenty, enough for a month without needing to go out. I also look at the table to see what else there is, and luckily, I can see that the building doesn't require paying taxes or anything, hallelujah. Okay, there's still time to take advantage of and open the booster packs I've set aside for myself. I'll divide it into my personal collection, playtest decks, and single cards for sale. Let's see, there are 12 booster boxes in each case, and 24 booster packs per box, for a total of 288 booster packs per case. That'll give me a lot to do. 288 Blue Eyes packs, but not a single Blue Eyes, damn it, and only 1 complete Exodia set. The funny thing is that even though I have 6 heads, the art varies and is really cool, both the original and the uncensored ones, as well as the ones from different artists. Collectors will go crazy. I laughed at the mental image. After organizing everything, I decided to wear something resembling a uniform so I look more professional, so now, I have to wait. After an hour, almost at 9 AM, finally I had my first client. Hello, welcome to Kame Game Shop, how can I help you? I say what I think is a gentle smile. There were 2 people, a woman, and who seems to be her child. The woman seems to be very young, maybe late 20s, she has long brown hair and brown eyes, while the kid seems to be 5 years old, close to the woman, so he seems really shy. Hello, is this a new store? It doesn't sound familiar to me. Correct, we opened just today, I answered with a smile. Oh, good, she said, looking around at the posters, figurines, and stuffed animals. I see a theme, but I don't know what it's about. Could you explain it? He asked in a friendly tone as he looked more at the plush toys, probably thinking of giving one to his son. Of course, miss. This store is based on a card game called Duel Monsters. All the products are related to the game. The cards are the main element, while the other things are add-ons for people who aren't as focused on the game but like the theme. The woman nodded, then looked at her son and asked in a soft, gentle tone, Peter, do you see anything you like? Peter tentatively let go of his mother's hand and began to look around the store, looking at the posters and figures until he finally stopped to look at the plush toys. Who is it? He asked in an innocent voice. That's the Blue Eyes White Dragon, she said, approaching me and placing me next to the plush toy. This little friend is one of the main monsters in Duel Monsters, and one of the strongest. Peter nodded and pointed to another, and I couldn't help but smile. And this little one, I said, grabbing the plush toy, is Koroba. I squeezed the plush, and it made a curry sound. Peter's eyes widened in surprise, and he could see what he wanted. The woman was smiling, knowing he would surely buy it. By the way, the woman began, what's this Duel Monsters game about? Since practically everything is connected to the game, I'd like to know what it's about and see if I can help give Peter some friends, she whispered the last part as Peter hugged the Koroba. Of course, miss. If you want, I can teach your son how to play. The woman blushed a little. Sorry, I haven't even introduced myself. Call me May, and I'm not his mother, I'm his aunt, she said, slightly embarrassed. An aunt named May and a nephew named Peter? I hope it's not what I think, but something tells me I'm right. I understand, Miss May. Well, you want me to help your nephew play? May nodded. Okay, Peter, do you want to learn Duel Monster? I ask kindly. Peter thinks about it for a minute and ends up nodding. Both me and May smile, me because I can start showing the game by May, maybe because Peter was being brave talking to someone outside the family. I show them the holographic tables. They have boards on two sides and an area next to them for programming things. Do you want me to explain this or the assistant? May, confused, looks around. Assistant. I simply smile and press a few buttons. A hologram of a brown-haired teenager appears, representing T. Garner. T appears. Peter. I asked to see if he prefers the assistant, but he hid his face in the stuffed animal, so I decided to turn off the assistant. Sorry, I'll explain it myself. May tried to hold back her laughter since Peter apparently didn't know how to talk to girls. Relax, by the way, I didn't tell you how much the stuffed animal costs. Right, the stuffed animals are $12. May nods and gives me the money, and I quickly check it out. Returning to the table, I take out a test deck I'd prepared. Okay, Peter, first the game is a little difficult. If you don't like it or don't understand you can tell me, okay? I ask gently, receiving a nod. Well, first, it is usually a two-player game. You flip a coin, rock paper scissors, or something like that to decide who goes first. Each of them draws 5 cards. The first player draws a card, gets to summon or set a monster card, use spell cards, and set trap cards, but is unable to attack. The second player draws a card, then is able to do the same as the first player but can also attack on their turn. There are other things to consider, but overall, the main goal is for each player to defeat the opponent with damage done to monsters. Direct attacks of a monster to a player, or direct damage dealt by spell cards or trap cards also contribute to your opponent's defeat. I explained and waited to see if there were any questions, but Peter nodded as if he understood, and I smiled, and May seemed to sort of get it. She's probably getting ready to play with Peter to cheer him up or something if he can't find anyone else to play with. Before we start, I'll explain what monster, spell, and trap cards are and what they do. The cards that I placed on all the decks right now are basic cards for beginners. A monster card is a card that you can summon to fight for you and defend you from another monster's attacks. They have a yellow-colored frame or an orange one, and have stars here which indicate its level, and the more stars it has the trickier it is to summon. Below shows numbers which indicate its attack and defense. I held up a card and showed Peter a Koroba since he seems to like it, a 1-star effect monster with 300 ATK and 200 def. Players can summon a monster normally if it is within 1 to 4 star level. Monsters with 5 stars or more need to have a tribute in order to summon them. A tribute is a monster that you control on the field. Monsters with 5 to 6 stars require 1 monster tribute, while monsters with 7 or more require 2 tributes. I patiently explained. So more stars means stronger? Peter asks, a little more relaxed. Yes, the more stars a monster usually has, the more powerful it is. Now let's talk about ATK and def. Every monster has 2 important numbers, ATK and def. ATK stands for attack points. This number shows how powerful your monster is when it's attacking an opponent's monster. The higher the ATK, the stronger your monster is in a fight. You can set a monster in ATK mode by putting it facing up on the monster zone. Then I placed the Koroba in the monster area that I highlighted, while a holographic image of a furball even seems to be waving at Peter, making him wave back. Now let's talk about def, which stands for defense points. This number is about how good your monster is at defending itself when it's being attacked by another monster. If your monster's def is higher than the ATK of the attacking monster, your monster stays safe. So, when your monster is attacking, you look at its ATK, and when it's defending, you check its def. You can set a monster in def mode by summoning it face down, or after the turn that a monster is summoned in ATK mode, you can set it to def mode. Alright, now that we've got a handle on ATK and def modes, let's dive into the battle phase. This is where the real action happens. Monsters can clash, and those in ATK mode get the chance to attack. They can target an opponent's monster or, if the field is monster-free, go straight for the opponent. When your monster in ATK mode battles another and its ATK points are higher, it crushes the opposing monster. The difference in ATK points translates to direct damage to the player, like this. Because Koroba is one of the weakest, I had to look hard for a monster that I could defeat. I wasn't going to let my Koroba be destroyed, and in the end I found Dragon Piper and summoned it. So what looks like a vase with arms and playing the flute comes out. Dragon Piper LVL 3 Fire Pyro / Flip ATK 200 Def 1800. These boxes that appear are the monster numbers, so you don't have to keep looking down to see the numbers, just to read the card. Now let's jump into the fray. Koroba, attack Dragon Piper. I declared. Koroba lunged at Dragon Piper, headbutting him. Dragon Piper disappears into pieces, then disintegrated, and a red 200 prompt appears on the opponent's side, marking the direct damage. The number that comes up is damage. Each player has 4,000 hit points and is won by lowering them to 0 in most cases. The defeated monster heads to the graveyard zone. Remember, generally, the higher a monster's ATK/death, the better. But that's mostly for normal monsters, the yellow ones. The orange ones have effects that are written in here. I'm sure your auntie can help you if you are still learning. Peter nods again, but this time looks more interesting. Then I started to explain spells and traps. The green ones allow you to support monsters and traps, while the pink ones are cards that serve as names, cards that surprise your opponent. There wasn't much variety, so he more or less understood. And those symbols, Peter said, pointing at the card symbols. Those are details. The plus sign is a weapon or item the monster receives. The one with spikes is a field card, they go to a separate area. The infinity symbol means it stays forever unless another card says otherwise. Peter was more comfortable now. Apparently, I already had a fan. Miss May, would you like to try a game with your nephew, or would you rather watch? Let me try. Besides, I must admit the drawings are incredible. May complimented. Thank you. The artists are the best I could find, and the quality of the cards is extremely high, so their durability is very high. May nodded that I decided to play with Peter, and like as if on cue, people started to come in. An adult came in looking for a toy or something for his daughter. I suggested a Kuruba stuffed animal, which she accepted. A woman came in with her son, I hope I'm right this time, and it seemed she was a friend of May, since when she came in and saw her she went straight towards her, along with her son who went directly towards Peter. It seems they must be friends because Peter's face lit up when he saw him. The two of them played for a while and seemed to like it, and that's how it went for the rest of the day. People would come in, buy something, and introduce the game to some of them. Since these packs contain 12 cards instead of 9, it's easier to make a deck, since for about $12 they could already have their own deck. I decided when it was 9 p.m. to close the store, saying that since it was the inauguration, there were practically no breaks. Bad idea, but I managed to finish the day, although I had to eat almost like a pig because I was so hungry. But one thing I still have to do is start using the journal. Screw it. Apparently I've transmigrated to another universe. Unfortunately, my memories were erased, leaving only my name, details about Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Marvel. I hope to find out what universe I'm in, because if I'm really in Marvel, I don't know what the hell will happen to me until I can increase my power. What I didn't know is that starting to write this started a chain of events that would change everything in this version of the Marvel universe. And started when a book that looks exactly like the journal that I'm using to use my system, but with a key difference. It says, Gabriel's journal, Tony Stark's copy of